What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk about SoFi. I want to talk on ultimately when will the bleeding stop? When will this reverse? I'm going to go over some possibilities when technically all this is going to happen. But before getting to any of that, all I ask, smash a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, let's get right to it. Before I get into any of that, I think it is fair to go over exactly some reasons why SoFi is going down as much as it is, and largely because a couple different attributing factors. One of which we already know tentatively is Russia. Second is inflation, and inflation numbers did come out yesterday and it was basically in line, so 7.9, and the forecast was 7.9. But unfortunately people took that, even though it was in line with the forecast, as, you know what, inflation is still relatively high, we might need to increase our interest rates more. So whenever someone is talking about inflation, they are just ultimately talking about interest rates. That's what basically it translates to. And when it comes down to raising interest rates, theoretically, SoFi is in a very good position. They are in a good sector that will flourish, but unfortunately, there is one attribute of SoFi that isn't necessarily the best. And looking right here, you can see based on the last balance sheet, total cash equivalent short-term investments, 505 million, long-term investments, 589, total debt, 4.18 billion. So that is a very big deal. This debt, especially in an environment where interest rates are increasing, these debts typically balloon and go completely out of control. So that is one, and in my opinion, the only attributing factor that's causing SoFi to go down. And again, that's kind of taking a step away from the manipulation, because that is neither here nor there. That's happening with a lot of growth stocks, but it ultimately comes down to the debt. So when is this actually going to happen? When is this going to get dealt with? Because right now there is a couple different scenarios that could save SoFi. All of which that ultimately means that there may be a little bit more blood in the market before things get better. I think that's usually what a lot of people are under the impression right now. So a couple different options that could happen. Theoretically, plain and simple, they could dilute to get rid of this debt. That would kill a lot of investor confidence, cause the stock to go down, but ultimately it would solve the problem of their debt. Right now, I don't believe that Anthony is going to be doing that, because he is a very smart individual and very calculated. You can tell that. And even himself, he has been buying, which in my opinion is a very good catalyst whenever the CEO backs up the bus. But anyways, that aside, there is that option. So as far as another option, technically this debt, even if they maintain it and keep it, it's not going to bring them down. It'll take them several years to get rid of that, but even if they don't touch it, it will deal with itself. So that's one thing, but again, goes back to the point, there will be a lot of blood up until that point, especially considering on March the 16th, the estimate is that they are going to increase rates roughly about 0.5 point, and that is a very big deal, especially considering right now I do believe that the consensus, especially leading up to this, was going to be only a 0.25 point. So when it comes down to that attribute, that is something as well that to factor in. And shorts, like I've been saying, shorts are manipulating everything. So like I said, when is this going to get better? Hypothetically, again, if you're just looking purely at inflation numbers, then most likely it will get better roughly in around May. That's just my hypothesis. Again, looking at this, typically a lot of people look at the year over year, because typically last year in April, that's when things started to get a little bit more better as far as increasing prices. And keep in mind, when I say that it may be in May where things get better, that's only because we are projecting, and that's when we'll actually be disclosing our April numbers. But again, especially with the Russia situation and oil as much up as it is, so $109.31, which is mind-boggling. I believe it reached a high of $123, $125, somewhere around there over the last couple of days. That is a crazy market. And so that technically, along with other commodity prices increasing because of the Russia tensions, that will skew the month over month. So I do strongly feel that a lot of people will transition and stop looking so much at the year over year and start looking a little bit more at the month over month. Because unfortunately, if that is the case, then the next couple of months are going to show huge amounts of inflation. So that is something for us to as well keep in mind. Again, hopefully it might be in May, the bottom. We never know. We don't know when the Russia situation will start to subside or when it will end. It is what it is. As far as the investors, all we can do, if we like the company, you invest. Don't worry so much about the short-term noise. You just have to invest in the long term, 5 to 10 years out. And I do not have any doubt whatsoever that SoFi is going to do a lot of good things. And I have been saying the word SoFi quite a lot. And I just want to say, because there has been some comments correcting me saying that it's SoFi. I did actually research it, and there was a couple different things, articles that said all the exact same thing. Obviously, it was surrounding the Super Bowl, and people wanted to know exactly how to pronounce SoFi. And so it says right here, so for the record, it's pronounced SoFi and not SoFi. So let me know in the comments if I have been saying this wrong the whole time and what you feel, if it is supposed to be SoFi or SoFi. I don't know. Let me know. But regardless of whatever it is, you guys get what I'm saying. Hopefully you're getting some value out of this. But like I said, it is going to be the long-term investors that do benefit. And so with that, I just want to go over some short information. So looking at this, 17.77 is the short interest, down roughly about 5% from 1 week prior. Utilization is 100%. Day by day change, I do believe that this isn't updated. It is showing 0%. I don't believe that is to be fair and correct, because it does show 2.26 million shares being additionally shorted. So that should be positive and not zero. But again, it is what it is. And looking right now, cost to borrow, it is starting to go down a little bit. So 2.65%. And I personally feel the cost to borrow, that attribute, is a lot of manipulation just on there, because technically who loans out those shares? It is brokers and institutions. And who is a threat to those same brokers and institutions? SoFi, whatever you want to call it. They are a threat. So I personally feel that they are purposely not charging as much as it is just to keep SoFi down. And proof of that is this. The cost to borrow minimum. Someone is actually paying someone to short SoFi. That hands down is pure manipulation, and that is proof of that right there. So again, take it how you see that. It's a lot of good things, and I know technically we're not performing as much as we are and as good as we are, but when we do reverse, we are going to do a lot of good things. And again, it goes back to the point, it's just the patient investors that are going to make the most. I know short term does suck, and as soon as you buy something, you instantly regret it. It makes you feel like it's the worst decision of your life. But keep in mind, months from now, this is going to be double, triple, whatever you feel it is. I strongly feel this alone should be at $15. Keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence at the end of the day. And with that, I just want to transition and do some technical analysis. So looking at this, I have the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So momentum, number of buyers, is actually up today, so that's a positive sign. Stochastic, there is starting a little bit of a deviation, so red line above the black showing it is a little bit more of a bear sentiment. And looking at RSI is currently at 34. On the actual chart, we are still a lower percent of the Bollinger Band, and unfortunately, we are getting to a very pivotal point. So if we do break past that, then most likely we'll be trending to around the $7 range. Again, that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but that's just based on the technicals as well. So there's a lot of different moving parts that is all going at once. Let me know your thoughts on SoFi in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts on whether I've been saying this wrong the whole time or not. It is comical, but whatever, it is what it is. If you haven't already, smash your thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With all that said, appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on SoFi.